Well, here we are, almost to the end. Only a few more episodes to go, and then we're on to Voyager. But it's kind of sad. But we know they do movies. We know Picard happens later. So we'll have to get into those too at some point. I wish, I wish we could. I wish I had enough subscribers that I could come on live and we could all watch an episode together, but I don't have enough subscribers to do that. Maybe in 20 years I may be dead by then, but it would be nice to have a whole bunch of subscribers that I could come on and we could do the movies live. But, that's just a wish that will most likely never, ever, ever come true. I'm being realistic here. Um, welcome to the Daily Reads book series. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of those fancy stuff going on here. And we are on season 7, disc 4, episode 268. We're almost done. And we did Homeward Bound, Sub Rosa, and Lower Decks, which reminds, every time I look at that, it reminds me of the cartoon. And that's probably where they got the title for the cartoon from, because it was about the officers on the lower deck, right? So let's get to this. We start with a little voiceover from Dr. Crusher. Bridge Officer's Log, Stardate 47611.2. Dr. Beverly Crusher reporting. We have rendezvous with Counselor Troy Shuttlecraft. She's just returned from a 3-day class reunion on Starbase 231. So Dr. Crusher says, "Welcome back. Thank you. I was just reporting in. I didn't expect to find anyone up except Data. Data's away on assignment. A Federation deep space probe went off course and crashed on Bakron 4. Some of the material in the casing was radioactive, so Data was sent to recover it before it contaminate the biosphere. Isn't Bakron 4 inhabited? Yes, it's a pre-industrial society, but the probe crashed over 100 kilometers from the nearest settlement, so Data shouldn't have any contact with the Barkarians. So how was your reunion?" It was good to see some old friends. I'd lost touch with most of them. It's interesting to see the different paths of some of their lives have taken. Beverly, you usually don't stand watch over the bridge when Data's not here. I volunteer tonight. I'd like to put in some bridge time now and then. Stay on top of operations and tackle the tactical procedures. The truth is, I like it. It's not every doctor who gets to command a starship, even if it's just the night shift. May I ask you a personal question? Why did you decide to become a commander? I mean, you didn't need the rank in order to be chief medical officer, so why'd you put you through all the extra work? Oh, I don't know. I never even thought about my rank for a long time. It seemed pretty trivial compared to being a doctor, but then about 8 years ago, I started to feel like I wanted to stretch myself a little. Commander, there's no response of Commander Data to our signal. Continue sending him updates on our schedule. Aye, sir. Is something wrong? No, I wanted to let Data know there'd be a delay in picking him up for a few days. We have orders to rendezvous with the Lexington and take some medical supplies to Taranko Colony. But he's not responding. Jordy said the radiation from the probe might interfere with communications. I just thought I'd try anyway. So all of you Star Trek fans out there, tell me if I'm wrong, please. Have we been to this village before? This particular set. I'm almost positive we've been here at least 2 or 3 times previously, but I'm not sure. So if anybody could document that for me, I would appreciate it. But I'm almost positive we've been here before. So the Garvin is talking to Gia, and they're talking that she was late she has school and stuff going on. And then they see Data. His hair is messed up and he's carrying the radioactive box. So she hides down behind the wheel to watch the conversation between Gavin and Data. And then the guy asks Data some questions, and Data repeats them back to him. Who are you? Who are you? What's your name? What's your name? So then the guy tries simple. My name is Gavin. And so Data goes, my name is Gavin. It takes him a few minutes. Tell me, have we not been to this planet before? I'd swear the one with the water issues was here. And then there's another one with the uh this group had signed a treaty or lease with Romulans maybe or Klingons maybe, I don't remember which, and they had to get out after 200 years or something like that. I'm almost positive this place was used before. So please let me know if I'm wrong and if you know which episodes we were here before. So Data's starting to very, very slowly put things together. And he's saying, I do not know my name. And the guy's like, well, you're sounding better. And he's like, yes, it's becoming easier. Ask him where he's from, father. Gia, go on to school. I'll deal with the stranger. Yes, goodbye, father. Goodbye. Your eyes and skin look so strange. Your clothes, you look like you've been in some sort of accident. I don't remember being in an accident. What do you remember? I walked over from the mountains. The mountains? They're over 200 celtons from here. I have a clear memory of my journey. What do you remember before that? I have no prior memory. What do you know what that is? No. May I have it? Yes. There might be something here that could tell you where you are. I wonder what these markings are. Radioactive. That is what's written on the container. You can read this language? Evidently. Radioactive, what does that mean? I do not know. Perhaps it's my name. I never heard a name like that. You must come from a very distant place. He opens the box and takes out the shiny metal. He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have taken out that cylinder of aluminum foil. So then we're back on the Enterprise, and Troy goes to see Riker, and they have a little chit chat while he's playing the trombone. Uh, because if you're asking me if I liked what you were playing, then the answer is yes. You know, this is a much better way of communicating for you. It's far less confusing than the way you normally speak. I knew I could count on my Imazad. Oh, how does he say that? Imazad? The ship's counselor to boost my self-image. Glad to be of service. Did you come here for something in particular or just general Riker bashing? I actually wanted to ask your opinion about something. I've been thinking about taking the bridge officer's test and becoming a full commander. Sorry. What brought this up? A lot of things. Working on the personal review last month, talking with Beverly about her experiences, going to my class reunion. The class reunion. You saw a few old friends who've already taken the test? All right, I admit it was a catalyst. But honestly, say that I've been thinking on and off about the past 2 years. Why 2 years? Do you remember when the Enterprise hit the quantum fleet and I was in command on the bridge? I do. Well, when that happened, I was overwhelmed. But when it was over, I realized that a part of me missed it. Not the whole actual disaster, but the experience of being in command. I felt like I was exploring a whole new side of myself. Not that I want to give up counseling by any means, but I would really like to stretch myself a little. Diana, if you could take the bridge officer's test, you will complete my support. But as first officer, I'll be the one judging your performance, and you know I'm a pretty tough judge. But she says, yeah, but I'm a good student. All right, I'm showing my age here a little bit. But when I look at this woman, I see Cora Beth, Mr. Uh Godsey's wife. I knew I'd seen her before. On the Waltons. That's where I knew her from. That's who I think of when I see this. I think of her from the Waltons. And she's trying to talk to Data. She's checking him over. He has good teeth. His heartbeat is odd. His skin is clammy. But Data says he feels fine. No headaches, palpitations, sluggishness, indigestion. He has not eaten. They try to feed him. Um, they calling him an Iceman. So she's going on about, I'm sure my grandmother would have called our friend here a demon or a spirit or some kind of monster, but current scientific mythology allows us to dismiss such ridiculous superstition and concentrate on scientific reality. Then what do you believe I am? You are an Iceman. An Iceman. You probably come from a race of people who lived in the snow and ice of Valerian mountains. Your skin and eye coloration are the result of prolonged exposure to a harsh winter conditions. Then I am not ill. Aside from your memory loss, you do not seem to have any symptoms of illness that I am familiar with. No, you are an Iceman. Now get something to eat and a good night's rest, and I'll come back tomorrow to see if your memory has returned. So then the lady doctor leaves, and they're trying to decide what to call uh Data. And they say that well, the word on the box is radioactive, and Garvin says, "Mr. Radioactive," and Gia says, "No, let's call him Jaden." What do you think of that, Jaden? That is acceptable. So they name him Jaden, and then let's see what happens. So now the whole town of experts is handling the radioactive material. So now they've all been exposed to radiation. Now, I don't know. I mean, it was just a chunk. So I don't know how bad it could be. But I'm assuming that it was in the box because it was pretty bad. And you should leave it in the box. But no, all these people are examining the thing and touching it. And I'm pretty sure that's going to do something to your hands. I'm not sure. Um, so uh they're asking Data where he found it. He has no memory. We're calling him Jaden, and they said the metal is warm, and they tries to hit it with an anvil, and it's obviously been tempered and milled. The lustrous quality of the metal is pure. This wasn't made in any forge I've seen. Will you sell them? You want them? The metal's malleable enough to make some jewelry. They belong to Jaden. Do you want to sell them? You're going to need money. You may be right, but I do not wish to sell all the fragments. They may provide a clue to my identity. And they give him 20 Dorex for half of it. Um, and then the anvil falls, and Data just picks it up off the guy's foot, and the guy's foot's kind of broken. And they're all looking at Data. Well, he is very strong. Let's check this out. And they're all looking at Data holding the anvil like, oh my god. Who is this man? So now they're all sitting down to dinner. Uh and it's understandable your people probably all have great strength. It will allow them to fight off the vicious creatures that live in the Valerian mountains. You tell me no one from the village has ever been to the mountains. How can you be certain there are ferocious creatures there? It's a well-known fact. But no one has seen one. Well, not to my knowledge, but Father, are you all right? I've been tired since this afternoon. I'm sure it's nothing. And he's getting sick because they've all been exposed to the radiation poisoning. They all should not have handled that object. They're in trouble now. I don't want anybody to die. And then Data and Gia have a talk. She wants to know why Data didn't eat, and he said he didn't have an appetite. Well, He doesn't eat. He's a machine. Um, but I think the father's gonna be really sick, and I hope the Enterprise gets there soon. So then Troy is taking the exam. You're not told that? They just start in the middle of it. They just come into an emergency situation, and Jordy and Will, they're all running around like crazy with Troy giving orders. Then you're told it's a simulation. Then you're told it's her exam. So then, see, it was an exam. It was on the holodeck. Um, don't feel bad. You passed everything else: diplomatic law, first contact procedures, bridge operations. The engineering qualifications, one of the toughest parts of the test. So what did I do wrong? I'm afraid I can't tell you that. Why not? What kind of test is this? It's the kind of test that you'll have to take again if you want to be bridge officer. Only next time the problem won't be so easy. So I just suggest you study up on your emergency procedures. Well, how do I know what to study if you won't tell me what I did wrong? I don't know. I'm afraid I can't tell you that either. Well, she's got a point. So then apparently Data went to school with the other kids. And Talor is saying rock, fire, sky, and water are the basic elements of the universe. They can be found in every object, every person, every animal, everything. The rock in this wood can be felt by its weight, by its hardness. If we expose the wood to flame, we encourage the fire within the wood to show itself. We also see smoke, which is part of the sky. The water in the wood is difficult to see. Sometimes elements are buried deep inside the objects. And Data's like, excuse me, I got a question. You're wrong. So Data goes on with, I believe you are reasoning by analogy, classifying objects and phenomena according to superficial observation with rather than empirical evidence. Wood, for example, does not contain fire simply because it is combustible, nor does it contain rock simply because wood is heavy. Wood is like any complex organic form. It is composed of 1,000 different chemical compounds, none of which is fire. That will be enough now, Jaden. As I told you earlier, our friend Jaden here has lost much of his memory, so I would not put too much faith in any of his ideas. But that will be all today. Class dismissed. She's been embarrassed. He's usurping her authority. So then Data talks with Gia. Um, um, I do not agree with Tala's assessment, although I do have gaps in my memory. I know that fire is not an element. Then there's a problem. They've been all handling the radioactive material. They've all got radiation poisoning. They're all getting sick. His hair is falling out. It's radiation poisoning. He's got burn marks on his hands. He's the Enterprise better get there soon with their fix. And it's gonna expose society to first contact. Well, then Gia and Data go shopping for some stuff. He wants to conduct an experiment to research her father's illness. And the townspeople are not too pleased with what's going on. So a lot more of the townspeople have come down sick because they've been all been handling that stupid rock. They're getting fevers. They're getting burns on their hands. Their hair is falling out. Objects appear approximately 500 times their normal size. As you can see, the cellular damage is quite extensive. However, based on intestinal transparency and membrane integrity, I do not believe it is an infection or any other form of communicable disease. At the moment, I'm looking for a common event or experience that Gia Gavino's scoring might have had. The Rock, Data, The Rock. Yes, but since the illness struck all three in relatively short period of time. Actually, Jaden encountering you is the most unusual experience they've all shared. I'm aware of that. Excuse me, I'm open to the possibility that I may be in some way the factor. However, since you had a great deal of contact with me and show no signs of sickness, I tend to discount myself. Still, it has to be more than coincidence. I agree. And it occurs to Data. Finally! Her father had the necklace made for her. So Data's got to get that necklace away from her because that's what's going to kill her, is the necklace. Troy is one more time taking the test or practicing for the test and trying to figure out what she did wrong. Riker says he's canceling her testing. She's taken the same test 4 times and she's flunked. Well, I'll take it 4 more times, 14 times, or how many times is necessary to get me to get it right. Deanna, this is nothing personal, but no one is cut to be a bridge officer. I don't think this is for you. Why? Because I'm not the most technical-minded person on the ship. I may have trouble telling the difference between a plasma conduit and a phase inducer, but there's more to being a bridge officer than memorizing technical manuals. Yeah, that's right, there is. You should spend the next month memorizing all the technical manuals in the computer. I still don't think you'd pass. Tell me one situation. Is there a solution? Or is this a simple test of my ability to handle a no-win situation? There is a solution. Then give me time to find it. I can't. As much as I care about you, my first duty is to the ship. I cannot let any bridge officer serve who's not qualified. I'm sorry. So Troy goes back to the holodeck again and runs the simulation again for herself. So Riker came in and ended the simulation, and the whole test was about whether she could order somebody to die. They have to be able to give orders that will save the entire ship and maybe kill, one or two people. That was the test. So she finally passed the exam, but she had to kill somebody to do it. Pretty sad. But again, in emergency situations in war, you're trying to save 1,000 people. Who's gonna? We send military off all the time. We sacrifice our men's and women's lives for the rest of the nation, for freedom, for ideals. They go out every day, those troops. So I guess it's kind of the same situation. If you're going to be a general, you have to give the order knowing that people are going to die. So it has finally occurred to Data that it's the Rock that's hurting everybody. He does experiments. He shows her all this stuff. And so he goes and talks to other people and says, gather up all the materials of the rock and put it back in the box, because obviously the box was a warning not to open it. That's what the signs meant. It was a warning not to open it. Now, but see, everybody's sick. How are they going to fix everybody now? Now that they know the cause and the reason everybody got sick, how are they going to fix it? And I think her father's going to, if the Enterprise doesn't get there soon with the cure, her father's going to die. Now she's getting sick. So Data's made a concoction to fix everybody. A mob rises up and attacks Data. So Dr. Crusher and Riker come to the village looking for Data, and she tells him that Data is dead, that he's in the tomb. That he got sick that the town got sick when he arrived. We didn't know his real name, so we called him Jaden. You're saying he's dead? They killed him because they were afraid of him, but he saved us all from the sickness. The sickness. There were these pieces of metal, and they made everyone sick. But Jaden put something in the water, and now everyone's better. What happened to these metal? We buried them in the forest. What's his real name? Data. He was my friend, too. Uh, so they go to Data's grave. So they beam Data's body up, and they beam the rock up, and the people will never know what happened. So they beam him up and fix him, and he wakes up. What was the last thing you remember? I had located the Crash Federation probe and was collecting the radioactive fragments. I was attempting to download the sensor logs from the probe's computer. There was a power surge. I believe the surge overloaded my positronic matrix. After that, I have no memory until this moment. It appears I had an interesting time. We don't know much about what happened either. Apparently, you saved an entire village from radiation poisoning, and you were a very special friend to a little girl. Well, if you excuse me, I have the bridge watch. Counselor, have you been promoted in my absence? That's right, which means you can now call me sir. Yes, sir. And that is the end of thine own self. That is also the end of this disc. And we're on to the next disc and the last few episodes of Star Trek Next Generation. Let me know if we've been to that town before. I think we have. Oh, and don't forget to check out If Then later this afternoon. Have a good one.